Now, many of you know the beauty of this parish that we call home. St. X Church has been painted in a number of different ways over the course of the last 100 years. Currently, we are dealing with issues of plaster falling from the ceiling, as well as the leading in the windows giving way. So, what this video will do is take you through some of the finer points of how it is that we intend to transform this church interior. To begin, we will take a look at the stained glass and give you a seldom seen view or perspective that you might not have encountered just coming to church here. If you look over at the stained glass, you can see some of the beautiful detail that might be harder to view when we are seated in the pews. What you also probably miss when seated in the pews, though, are the ways in which glass has been patched. If you'll notice, anytime there is a line that goes across a pane of glass, that is a place where there was a break and where someone was paid to come in and fix the glass. There are any number of areas in the stained glass where those cracks have started to emerge. Also, if you pay attention to the way in which the glass is of a different color at certain places, some it'll look gold, and then right next to it it'll look white. That is a place where glass has been taken out and repaired or refit for this window. Also, we will be restoring some of the detail that goes along in each of the squares that are present in those stained glass windows. There are a relatively intricate design and then some decorative circles that will decorate the side of each column of glass. While we can't restore everything in the stained glass, we can clean what is there and also beautify and protect it for generations to come. One of the things that is more difficult to show is the fact that the leading has started to become brittle over the years. What they are going to do is take out the leading that holds all of the stained glass in and create a new mixture that has been used for centuries in stained glass windows in Europe to protect and preserve the glass for generations to come. The fix that we are doing here literally will not need to be done again for at least 100 years. And so another aspect of the repair that it helps to have a closer view of is the damage that has happened with the plaster due to the water that was seeping in, especially in the area where the bell tower was and the area where the box gutters were leaking, which we just had repaired a couple of years ago. The water seeped into the structure of the church, and we were in a state where it was continuously bringing more water in, and plaster was starting to fall out. Thankfully, we have completely sealed the outer envelope of the church. We are now looking at finding a way to repair all of the damage that has been done to the plaster over the course of the last decades. This project will require, of course, an extensive network of scaffolding. The scaffolding will cover the entirety of the inside of the church because rules are different now than they were 30, 40, and 50 years ago. If we have scaffolding in the church, that means that we have to close the upper church down. For us, this is an opportunity. We're looking at this not just a chance to rebuild our interior, but this will help us as a community come together literally more closely as we join one another in a different kind of community worship in the parish center. The thing that people always ask me is, Father, are you really going to be having Mass down in the parish center? And my response, of course, is yes. And that's for two reasons. One, what else are we going to do? Two, I don't think that people realize exactly how big and beautiful this space really is. According to the fire department, we can fit at least 400 people down here comfortably. We ourselves have had arrangements of chairs on either side, over 100 chairs on either side. And those are very comfortably spaced chairs. If you look to your right, you can see that in the gallery, we can also have more seating there, which leaves the space up front where we will wrap this in cloth and place a crucifix here, have the altar present. The choir will be nestled on either side of the altar, which will allow all of us to worship, I think, in a very comfortable and inviting way. I think we've all been waiting to have a better understanding of how it is our church will look after the renovation and restoration. To set your mind at ease, this is a conversation that many people might not realize we have been engaged in over the course of the last year by speaking with local heads of construction and design, property management, and theology. We have come across a design for this restoration that I think will please many people. By enlisting Conrad Schmidt, a nationally recognized company who focuses explicitly on the restoration of churches and stained glass, through 4 months of conversation, going back and forth with the designers there, we've finally come across this image that will be revealed this weekend. This image, which I have come to love as I've sat praying with it over the course of the last couple of months. The most important feature is the sanctuary, which is decorated from the dome with the Holy Spirit in the very center and light radiating from it, gold spandrels extending from the source of that light with stars filling a blue field. This is intended to evoke not only the moment of Pentecost, but also the moment of creation, the moment of our coming into being, and the moment of the Spirit being restored to us. The rest of the altar space will also change insofar as the tabernacle will be moved to the center of the altar. Now, that will not be a return of the altar, not a return of a high altar. The altar itself will remain where it is. However, by returning the tabernacle to the center of the main altar in the back, we allow the tabernacle to be returned to its original point of focus. Most people don't realize that in the way that this church was designed, it was designed to draw our attention to that center place. When the tabernacle was moved, it was moved with the intent of allowing the tabernacle to somehow be a little closer to people who wish to be in reverence of it. Well, to address this, when we move the tabernacle back to the center, we will also be turning the sanctuary itself into a chapel of repose. We chose the name Adsum for this campaign, which means I am present, because it is the traditional response of the people of God when they are called upon. It reminds us that we, at this time, are called upon to care for not only this physical church, but also the Church of Christ that has been handed on to us. We are present here to one another, to give witness to the presence of Christ, not only in our own lives to one another, but to the people of Cincinnati. For us to say, I am present, it speaks not only of what we desire for our lives in the present, but the promise that we are making to remain present to this city.